Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies. We're sisters who discuss all things related to work, family, and personal growth.
We draw inspiration from everywhere, especially from you, our listeners, to keep moving forward with joy and laughter in the big adventure that is life.
1 week at a time.
I'm Azizi Williams. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a mom of 2 adult children, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world. I'm here with my sister, Malika Amandi.
That's me. I'm a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a mom of 2 littles, and I work in higher ed. In this episode, we interview Sarah Hart Unger in our new segment, Friends of the Pod.
But first, Malika, there's so much going on right now.
Yes. What's going on?
Well, the time that we record this, we are together, sort of, in Massachusetts. And I am currently recording from my daughter's apartment at her college. She goes to school in Connecticut, and I wanted to come and see it. And so I'm sitting at her desk, and it's very sweet. It's been fun hanging out with the family. We're getting ready to do our Thanksgiving things. So many great things going on. And
Yes.
something else going on that we have to look forward to is our podcast series that's going to come out between Christmas and New Year's, and it's called Ready, Set, Pod.
Exciting.
Yay.
What happens with Ready, Set, Pod?
In Ready, Set, Pod, we're going to each day for 5 days get ready for the new year with you all. So we're going to talk about our New Year's plans, and we're going to reflect on our year and just in general get ready to start the new year with grace.
All right. So it is fitting that we announce this today because we're talking to Sarah Hart Unger, who is our planning kind of guru today.
There's no better person to talk about getting ready for the new year than Sarah Hart Unger. We're so grateful that we were able to sit down with her, and she's our very first interview, guys. So this is a big deal for so many reasons. So we hope you enjoy our interview with Sarah Hart Unger, and also we hope you enjoy Ready, Set, Pod.
And we are back with Friend of the Pod, where we talk to somebody that is very important to our podcast and to us personally. And today we have the pleasure of interviewing Sarah Hart Unger.
I'm so excited. I love that I'm a friend of the pod, and I totally am because I love your pod, and you guys are my podcaster friends. So this is great.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to just share a little bit about our guest. Sarah Hart Unger is a writer, podcaster, course creator, physician, and mom of 3. She hosts the incredibly practical and fun podcast, Best Laid Plans, and co-hosts Best of Both Worlds. These are 2 of my favorite shows, which is great. And she wrote the book, Best Laid Plans, A Simple Planning System for Living a Life That You Love, which I believe when this airs will be available.
Oh, that's so
on
exciting.
shelves.
When does this air?
I think December 19th.
Awesome. So yes, when this airs, the book will be available to buy in hopefully all the places. I mean, I can't speak for every single small bookshop, but definitely all the online places.
Almost all the
Yes.
places, we'll say.
And if you've listened to more than one episode of Happier Ladies, then you have heard us mention Sarah Hart Unger because Azizi and I are both super fans and devotees of her planning methods. So we are especially honored to have her as our very first guest on the show. Welcome, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And by the way, sometimes I will be out for a walk listening to your podcast and I'll hear my name and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. You ladies are so nice. You always attribute quintiles to me and all that other stuff. And yes, it's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Sarah, could you just start off by telling us about your book?
Yes. So Best Laid Plans, A Simple System for Living a Life That You Love came about because I felt like I love productivity literature. I love all of Gretchen Rubin's books. I do podcasts with Laura Vanderkam. I love Tiffany Dufu. I love Eve Rodsky. I love all that stuff. I also love the book Getting Things Done, which came out in 2001. And the thing I love about that book, it was a complete system, a set of ideas for like, this is a way that you might structure your planning in order to live better. And I got so many great ideas from that book, but I feel like there hasn't been a system type book since then. And that's 25 years ago. And it's also written from the perspective of a guy. And David Allen is wonderful, but he doesn't have kids and he has a very flexible job. And so I'm living in this different reality, but I'm also obsessed with the idea of a system. And I don't think there's one system. That's why, my book would be pretty short if there was really just like one way to do things. But I just wanted to go off on all the different aspects that one might incorporate into their planning system and ways that you might personalize them to make your planning work for you. And I guess my central thesis is I think most people can benefit from spending more time planning and even more time optimizing their planning and thinking about how they do it. I've started to use the analogy that it's like a chef sharpening their knife, right? Like, yes, the sharpening isn't the whole point of cooking, but if you learn how to sharpen your knife really, really well, all of the cooking is going to go better. So I'm hoping to sharpen everyone's knife with my planning techniques.
Sarah, that's amazing. I love that, especially the thinking about planning part. Not just the planning, but also the thinking about how you're planning. I wonder, what is your planning origin story? How did you get into all of this?
Yeah, I think I got into all this because I like to do so many different things, and I always have. I grew up playing violin and singing, but also cheerleading. And I wasn't like a rock star at any one specific thing, but I really love dabbling in all kinds of things and have always gotten a lot of joy from that. And the only way you can do that is if you really have all of your ducks in a row. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about how that might work all through even high school, college, and then things really had to be leveled up when I became a medical resident, because that is a time in one's life, if you do residency, when, I love Laura Vanderkam, and her books 168 Hours was hugely influential on me. But during residency, there are actually times that you're working 80 hours. So 168 minus 80 is like you only have 80 left and you have to sleep for 50 of those. So you you really do not have a lot of time to play with, and you have to become extremely intentional about various things. And even the simplest things like, I don't know, being out of some key ingredient when you come home from a long day at work and you were going to make dinner and you were going to have this pasta and like you didn't buy the sauce because it wasn't on your list. Like little things like that can kind of snowball and make life more difficult during a time when you just need it to be smooth. I ended up having my first child during fellowship. And then, of course, that just added like another thing that I had to keep track of. And I just became very interested again. Like I really was a consumer of the canon of productivity literature on like, well, is there a right way to do this? Like, can I put together kind of a summary of at every level? How do we make sure that we're kind of being at our most proactive rather than reactive? Not that we can eliminate reactivity from our lives, because let me tell you, life is going to come at you and there's surprises, and I've had them too. Yeah. But just if we can, to the extent possible, optimize the getting ahead of stuff, then it's all going to work out better, even with limited time, even with constraints, even with young kids, etc. So yeah, I guess that's my planning origin story.
I'm really excited for the book because I want it as a companion to kind of reference as I'm doing weekly or monthly planning. And I think it's interesting to hear you talk about the people that inspire you with their planning systems, because I think some of them are kind of rigid in what they propose. That's kind of my connection to David Allen's body of work. It feels a little bit static to me. And I think the thing I really appreciate about your approach is that it is flexible, and you do encourage us to think about how things are changing with the seasons of our lives, and even on a weekly basis. You talk a lot on your podcast about the difference when you're on call. Everything is different, and there's certain strategies that you just have to adjust. And so I think what I've learned from your approach is that planning is really dynamic necessarily. And I appreciate your transparency and talking about how your systems evolve over the course of your life.
And as someone who you just had a new baby, like you're seeing that firsthand. And I think that is one of the events in my life that made me realize, again, that it's such a moving target. Like not only are there so many ways to plan, the way that you need to plan at a given phase of life is going to be so different than maybe even 6 months down the road. Even things like, I love paper planners, but to have a daily planner when I had a baby, like a newborn, drove me up a wall because I just didn't have enough brain space to fill a daily planner. It was like the pages were mocking me and I just needed to see my week. And now I can't live without my daily pages. So that's just like a tiny example. But yes, there is inherent flexibility there. I hope that I give people, when they read my book, license to like try this and try that, and also take breaks from this and that, because there are seasons for different forms of planning. And yes, having kids really like kind of magnifies that, I think.
This is the first time in a while where I'm thinking I might move away from Hobonichi because I want something like where I can write bigger and that gives more structure, which is weird to me because that's been my whole thing for the last few years. So I definitely hear you on that.
Totally makes sense.
So you talk about something called planner privilege on your podcast, and I'm curious if you could kind of give us an overview of what that term means and how you navigate that in your own life.
Yeah, there are certain catchphrases that I've come up with, and I can never predict what's going to take hold. Like quintiles, I didn't know that was going to become very popular, but sometimes people actually are like, oh, you're the quintiles lady. I'm like, okay, sure. Yes, I am.
Because you are
So
the
planning
quintile
privilege.
lady. That is who you are. Sorry.
Yes, although in the book, I emphasize that's just one way of many to dividing up your year. But yes, of course, I offer that option. So planning privilege came to me because after I was teaching my courses, I noticed that I would have a very similar dynamic brought up by people, which was this can go either way in different gendered partners. So obviously, not every couple has two people of different genders, and not every female in a two-gendered couple is the planner. But on average and more commonly, I had women in my courses telling me that I want to do this planning for the family. And not only does my husband say, why do you have to do that? But sometimes actually will sort of be like, I don't want to plan. I want things to be more spontaneous. And what they don't realize is that their lives, I mean, again, generalizing, there are exceptions. There's probably chaos they don't even realize that isn't happening because of the planning you're already doing, and that planning is work. And in certain circumstances, spontaneity and serendipity can be beautiful things, but in reality, when you've got a family of 5 and it's Saturday night and nobody knows what you're doing for dinner and every restaurant's packed, serendipity is not your best friend. You needed a plan and someone had to spend time thinking about that plan. And so I am not advocating that every couple divide the planning labor equally. If people are not interested in doing the bulk of the planning, I think that's totally fine. People should play to their strengths. But I think planning labor should be noticed, celebrated, and cooperated with. And there are some rituals and things that I suggest in the book to help bring that into light if this is something that you struggle with. And not every couple does, to be clear, but it's just a pattern I had definitely heard more than once during the years of teaching my courses.
It's so interesting, Sarah, because I really like to do the planning. And my job is the most complicated and complex. And so I definitely have that planning privilege, or I guess other people are the ones who benefit from the privilege of my planning. But I feel like I have planning responsibility also, and that I have to make sure that everyone knows my plan, right? And this trip has made me realize, I didn't necessarily communicate well all of the plans to all of the people who are, privileged because I'm planning for them, but then I have to communicate it also. And it's another part of the labor that goes with the planning.
Yes. And hopefully the recipients of all your work are not like, I don't feel like talking about it now. Because listen, it's never a good time to talk about this kind of stuff. But again, you put in all this work to do it. So everyone needs to take a beat, find a good time. And then I always advocate for both a written record and a discussion when you are having any sort of planning communication. So that could be a Google sheet, and then you all talk about it and say if there needs to be any tweaks. It could be a whiteboard. It could just be a text. It could be however, you want it to be. But I do recommend those two elements.
I can't wait until your kids go to college, because then you're going to help us all figure out how to do this in multiple states.
I think we're going to be very digital at that point. I mean, obviously the whiteboard is not going to fly at that point. And so that's going to be my embrace of, and I see as my kids are getting old. So my oldest is 13 now, and she still doesn't really plan digitally. But once she gets to the point where she wants to do that, we may kind of have more of a digital communication strategy. And I'm cool with that.
I love this phrase because, as you said, it makes something visible that can otherwise be invisible. And it's helped me to recognize in my own family, and as we had another baby, as things get more and more complicated, how much I love planning and how much I feel loved when other people plan also. And I was like, planning is my love language, which I think is one of the reasons Zizi and I nerd out so much about our family traditions and talking it through, because that's one of the ways I feel connected and supported and like I'm living my best life is actually in the action of planning. And I think that's just not true for everybody.
No, it's not. Your family does an exemplary and beautiful job with that. I think it's one of the things I love most about your podcast, literally, is listening to the mechanics of how you do that and how you take all kinds of feedback into account, but then also kind of like are still able to move forward without getting paralyzed by,
Yeah.
one person doesn't like this. So it is kind of an art and it is work. And
Right. That's
honestly, to
true.
some extent, having a podcast about it probably makes some of your labor visible, which is also the strategy that I employ. Like, it would be very hard for my husband to be like, wait, like, we don't need to do that because, he hears me
He
talk
knows.
about it all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not that practical for everyone else out there.
All right. Well, let's take a break. And when we come back, we have some more questions for our friend of the pod.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
And we're back with friend of the pod, and we're talking with Sarah Hart Unger. This is so exciting. I love the conversation so far. We're going to jump into the holidays. And Sarah, how are you going to celebrate New Year's?
Yeah. So you sent me this in advance and I started to do some thinking about it, but I'm going to be completely honest that I don't entirely have that nailed down yet. But here's my disclaimer is that we go to Montana for Christmas week. We celebrate Hanukkah, but honestly, I love all things Christmas as well. So it's perfect. We get to see Santa like handing out hot chocolate and it's beautiful. And then one of us usually has to work the other half of the winter break season. So for this one, my husband is on call for New Year's. So I actually just asked him recently, like, how are we going to make it a festive New Year's despite the fact that you're on call? Last year we made, I think we did handmade Chinese dumplings and that was really fun. We always make the kids go around and talk about their goals for the year. It's super fun. And as they've gotten older, their discussions get more sophisticated. And a lot of times we've spent the time with family because I really do feel like, everyone is sort of keyed into what is the most important around that time of year. And to me, that's like time spent with friends and family. So we usually try to spend it with my husband's parents if we can. They live about 40 minutes away in Miami Beach. If we can't this year, that's okay. But I definitely want to get together with them in the new year. So just emphasizing the things that are most important to me. I probably won't do a ton of goal setting because I think I will have already finished that a few days prior to the actual new year itself. But I love the holiday. It's just cozy and it's a fresh start. And you get to start your new planner, which is like a holiday in and of itself. So I can't wait. But I will say the hour by hour, I definitely have not entirely thought through yet.
I love that. Spending time with your family. I mean, that's what it's all about. And I agree about the planner. I'm already thinking about my planner. And I feel like there should be a word for that feeling like that, fresh start.
Yes, a German word.
Yes.
Ooh, like planner anticipation or planner prep energy, or I don't know. You're right. We need a good word.
Something about that. I am also like, nope, can't wait till the new year. Can't do it before then. But I love that anticipation.
It's totally fun.
You mentioned that you will have kind of wrapped up your thinking about goals a few days before the New Year's. Could you please tell us about some of the planning rituals you do before the new year begins?
Yeah, so my planning starts early, and that is because I hold a live conference called Best Laid Plans Live. I actually co-host that with Laura Vanderkam. And during that conference, I won't think it was true the first year because I hosted it by myself and I was kind of stressed out. But the last 2 years I've hosted it with her and I can actually start planning. Like I'm following the same program I'm giving everybody else because we're really spending time, we'll introduce a segment like, okay, we're going to do this visioning exercise. And then it's heads down and we all do it, like including me, including Laura. So I've gotten a head start on a lot of my annual planning in the way that I design, which is like, very convenient for me, I guess. I don't feel like I've finished. Like I'm not able to put the polishing touches on it during that, but that's certainly when everything starts to get percolating. And then I usually take some time after our trip, but then before the New Year's to like sit down, fill out my planner and just finalize. Like I will say I will come up with draft goals even before then, in part because Laura and I always reveal our goals on our podcast. Like I'm sure Gretchen and Elizabeth have to do the same thing with theirs, right? Because they're unveiling it in December. And I always look forward to those episodes, but I'm sure they record them a couple weeks prior. So I'll have them on the pod, but I don't consider them final until I've like handwritten them in my planner. And that will be probably in that like magical time between Christmas week and January 1st.
We have a name for that. From
what is it?
How to Winter. Twixmas is what it's called.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of names, the How to Winter book.
I'm going to use that. I like that.
Isn't that great? No, I know exactly what you're talking about. That is the time where you just are reflecting, refining, honing in so that January 1st, you're set. You're ready to go. But just for our listeners, you talked about that you do your planning around the Best Laid Plans conference. When is that?
That has already happened. So it's in early November. We know that we need to do it next year. If anybody's like, I want to come, it's November 5th through 7th, I think, of 2026. We'll be doing planning 2027. It sounds funny to say that out loud, but it's true.
Wow.
We had our third one this year, and it's so fun. It's about 30 women, and it's guided, and it's at the beach. I live in South Florida, so we did it convenient to where I live, but it also happens to be like a nice like destination. And we purposely did it in November. It's kind of like the kickoff to reflection season because realistically, everything gets really busy by Thanksgiving and the holidays and everything like that. So we wanted to do it in that little space between. And I think a lot of people use it to kind of start, and then they finish things on their own by the end of the year.
Well, it's on my bucket list. That sounds amazing.
That'd be so fun. I would love to see you ladies there.
Yes. So each week we talk about peaks and valleys, the ups and downs of our daily lives. Can you share a recent peak with us, Sarah?
Sure. I mean, it's going to be random, right?
Yes, they're always random. That's the thing. They must be random.
My peak is that today my daughter, so she broke her finger about a month and a half ago, and she does gymnastics and she competes. I mean, she's not like elite, but it's really fun. And she hasn't been able to do much for the last like month and a half. And she's been very sulky about it. And today she got cleared to go back to it. She even made them write her a letter so she could show her coach and everything. And she can like use her finger again. So that is my peak for the week.
That's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I guess I need a valley. This is an anticipatory valley, but I'm on call for my book launch.
Oh, no.
Because honestly, our call schedules get determined really far in advance. Like the schedule came out August of 2024 is when we got our whole year for 2025.
Yeah.
And my book was still in like proposal form at that point. So I didn't even know there was going to be a book launch. And then my book was going to come out in January. And I was so excited because I actually think December is better because then people can buy it for holiday gifts and you can get that whole like planning season. So I'm actually happy about it. But then I'm like, oh, that'll be such a like womp womp. Yay, my book is out. And then I get paged. Like
I imagine like you put on a cape when it's time for you to go like be on call, like such a cool thing to have to go do. But I understand the valley also.
Yeah, no, I don't mind doing it. I'm surly about getting woken up at night, but it's very much for a good cause. And thankfully, I do it for 6 weeks of the year. So it's hard while I do it, but it's also doable. And I have amazing colleagues that I share that responsibility with. So I'm lucky.
I'm curious, Sarah, is there anything that you have done already or that you will do to kind of celebrate the book launch for yourself? Because this is such a huge milestone.
I have a neighborhood book club. I mean, it's not mine, but I'm in it. And they were like, oh my God, your book's coming out. We read fiction, right? So we're not reading Best Laid Plans. We're reading like some hot novel. But I told them my book's coming out. And they're like, why are we not having like a book club party? Okay. So we might have a little delayed book club party like in January because I think it's too late to plan anything for pre-holiday season. But I think that will be really fun.
Yeah, you definitely need some champagne or, cupcakes, something festive.
Yes. And I will be toasting it like last Christmas week. We went to Montana, but I had to write the book. I was in crunch time, and I think I wrote at least 2 chapters,
my
like on the
God.
plane, in the beautiful lodge, and I was stressed out and tearing my hair out. And this time I don't have to really do anything. So I think that trip will be like a full
Yeah.
circle, and I'll be celebrating that the book is out in the world, and I'm not furiously writing chapters on my laptop.
Wonderful.
Yay.
Well, Sarah, where can our listeners find you and follow you, and where can they find your book?
Yeah, so my website is really kind of like the hub for everything. I don't do social media, but I have a blog that's like over 20 years old at this point. It's called theshoebox.com. My initials are SHU. So the blog is THESHUBOX.com, theshoebox.com. And you can find my podcast there, which Best of Both Worlds and Best Laid Plans. You can find my courses, my book pre-order stuff, everything. So I would say that would be the easiest place. And I do have a fun free newsletter that comes every month. So if you just want like a little taste of what I have going on, then you can sign up there as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. This has been so much fun, and we just appreciate you. And,
Yes.
we'll follow everything you do. Thank you.
Same. I'm already excited for all of your family togetherness recaps. So keep them coming.
Thank you.
We will. Thank you. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will share our peaks and valleys.
The Who's Down and Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
And we're back with peaks and valleys, because in life, there are always peaks and always valleys. And it is an odd episode, so Malika is up first with a peak.
All right. So this week, Quincy started going to daycare, just 2 half days. So Tuesday, Thursday mornings. And it's the same place where Indigo goes to preschool. And I just want to give a peek because his teachers are just so incredible. And there's nothing like leaving your child with someone who you feel is so capable and like maybe even better than you are in terms of caring for a baby.
It's just they have like the scale. They just in volume have dealt with more babies.
They've dealt with a lot of babies.
Yeah.
His teacher this year, she's a grandma, she's got grandkids that are just around his age. And she's also been working in childcare for decades. And it's just like peace of mind. I mean, the peak is just that he's starting childcare, which is, I got to say, it's bittersweet. It's also like, oh my gosh, she's growing up and it's happening so fast.
I know, you texted me that morning.
I
You
know.
texted me saying, I just dropped him off.
Compared to what I went through with Indigo, this is like, I mean, we know the place, there are a lot less question marks, which is good. And so I feel like I'm able to embrace the positive more of like, okay, I'm going to get a little bit of time. He's getting used to his new surroundings where he's going to be once I go back to work. And so it is really great that we have this transition to ramp up into it and that he's adjusting to it. So far, so good. So his classmates are all a little bit older than him. They walk and they have teeth, as Indigo pointed out. They're in the 1.5 to 2 range, but so they're like, oh, a baby, which is very cute. But I just feel like, okay, I'm seeing a light.
And Malika, you're achieving the holy grail, which is one drop off.
One drop off. Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often, or,
so funny.
It comes and goes, but parents often want that one drop off in the morning.
Well, what's funny is, to me, it still feels like so complicated because they're in different classrooms. And so this week we actually all went as a family and divided. And then the second day, I was just like, I'm just going to take Quincy, and Norm, you can take Indigo. Like we, because I couldn't, it still felt like too much.
Oh,
I haven't figured out the internal logistics of one drop off, but we'll get
we'll
there.
get there.
We have to.
And people before you have done it. It can be done.
Yes. Azizi, what is your valley?
Malika, I have no valleys. It's a no valley
Oh,
week. Only
hey.
peaks this week.
Yay.
It's so lovely. It's vacation. I'm here with my family. We're going to Martha's Vineyard. It's all lovely. There's nothing to be concerned about right now. So, no valley for me.
I'll take it. Well, that brings us to the end. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. What are you going to try this week?
You know what? I'm going to dig into the planning at home to start
Mm,
really getting serious about goals for the new year.
great.
What about you, Malika?
I am going to look into planners. As I said, I'm kind of on the lookout for something different, and maybe I'll email Sarah to ask for a personal recommendation. She said she does that. Listeners email her and she gives them
She's like a
suggestions.
concierge.
Yes. So maybe I'll email her about that or just start browsing on my own, but it feels important to do it before the new year.
Oh, it must be done before the
Yes.
new year. You have to go into the new year with your brand new planner.
Yeah. So wonderful. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. You can find our show notes in the episode description. If you like us, please rate, review, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Happier Ladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Malika, have a happier week.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I
No.
know you're our first interview. And we're
please.
like, should we ask about a valley too?
Okay, let's have the valley.
Okay.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.